Hey yo, ladies and gentlemen, Mosso here with the Grim Aftermath Show. We're going to be talking about how to navigate Crucible of War Unlimited once it releases. Now, if you're a new player, don't have a huge budget but have a decent, but this video is also for people who have a very low budget, because I would highly recommend for those people to go to Carol Ruskett's article on budget players, and I especially like the fact that he mentioned he was selling play mats plus cards, like cold foils for that matter. And you might be thinking, why do I want to sell my cold foil? Well, as your deck gets better, you'll be able to win more in the future and hold on to them. So don't worry about the earlier cold foils. You can definitely gain more and hold on to them, so that way they grow in value, no doubt about that. But this series is intended for people who I'm going to be focusing on. There's going to be a top tier list. There are currently, I believe, 4 or 5 cards on it. I believe 4 that you want to be prioritizing. Then we're going to go into the lesser tier cards that can improve your deck, but they're like Swiss Army knife, extra stuff, but they don't add to the real core. Anyway, well, let's move on to card selection. Hey yo, ladies and gentlemen, you want to start winning armor events like I have? That's not 1, not 2, but 3 armor events when it comes to Doranthia Iron Song, and with the cards I'm about to show you. But I can definitely tell you what you should really be prioritizing. And if you look to right here, it definitely Courage of Blade holds at the top of the list when Crucible Unlimited comes out. But ladies and gentlemen, you want to be putting a priority on Courage of Blade Home, because there's plenty of people who've lost to it against Doranthia and are going to want to be trying to get after Courage of Blade Home. So it's very important for you to understand what's on the top list. Now, I do have a lesser but still can improve your deck, but right now we're going to be focusing on what is truly important. Courage of Blade Hold. Not only does it block for 2, but that action right there, you got to be careful against Prism, because if you either activate this or even play a Steelblade Supremacy or even play a Warrior's Valor, the opponent can flash in the Magnet, the Arclight Sentinel. And it's very important that you understand this, but this card in conjunction with the next card that you definitely want, Steelblade Supremacy, and even Iron Song Determination is on the top of the list for that matter. But Courage of Blade Hold, it either allows you to really wear down the opponent's armor and extend the plays, and it can get extremely nasty when you combine it with cards such as Twinning Blade. Now, Twinning Blade, I didn't put it on this list because it's not real. It's even below the list, the lesser but important value cards. We're just going to be focusing this, and then once you complete all the cards on this list, you can go after stuff like Twinning Blade and other speculative cards, like for example the yellow one, attack reaction, that allows you to flip the top card of your deck and banish it if it's an attack reaction. But there needs to be more cards coming out that reward you for revealing the top card of your deck before we can use that yellow free power boost attack reaction that costs 2. But anyway, we're going to be moving on. Oh yeah, Courage of Blade Hold. It's very important to recognize when to activate it. I'll go in a bit more detail. Now, there are certain decks that are always going to have a lot of block-free values. Now, Ira is the exception to this, but they only run currently, the vast majority of them only run 2 Razor Reflexes. So you got to be aware of that. They only run 2, but the rest of their build, they are definitely blocking for free. No doubt about that. Ira happens to be a build that does that well, especially in conjunction with Flick Blacks, or even any other ninja. Well, it depends on the ninja build. If you sense you're seeing too many 2 defense cards, then go nuts. But Ira, Brute, Warrior, Mechanologist, and Guardian. Now, those are your 4 classes that are going to be heavily blocking for free. And don't be ashamed if you activate this in conjunction with Steelblade Supremacy. Make sure you're getting maximum value. You either need to have access to a route, or you need Iron Song Determination. Well, at the same time, simply because they draw up at the end of the turn, so know when to use this correctly. And it can get even extremely deadly when you combine cards such as Refraction Bolters and even Twinning Blade. You can get free swings off in a single turn, provided you got Go Again plus Twinning Blade effect. It can get extremely nasty, no doubt about that. But anyway, we're gonna move on to the next card. Steelblade Supremacy allows you nut draws, and the opponent has to fully respect this card. +2, and whenever this hits draws a card. This is extremely deadly, especially when you're combining it with Courage of Bleed Hole, simply because what you draw is not gonna have to be put into the using it to attack with the Dawn Blade, for that matter. And especially when you're stacking counters on this. This is definitely on the second card that you want at the top of your priority list. But we're going to be looking into Iron Song Determination. Now, Iron Song Determination is very good for wearing down the opponent's armor, but it's also a finisher as well. If the opponent's life total is extremely low, this plus, well, ideally what you want to do here is you want to be able to block with 2 cards and keep a 2-card hand, so that way you can play Iron Song Determination in conjunction and swing if their life total is down to 1 and their armor is extremely worn out to where they can't block anymore. You win. It's as simple as that. And this is good for wearing down armor, but at the same time finishing people off. But we're going to be looking at the next card. Sinking Steelblade. This is the last card for most top of the priority list. This is actually not that bad. It only costs currently right now $250, and I just foiled these suckers out for $350. So if you want to bling out your deck, you can definitely do so, because Sinking Steelblade's on the lower end, and it's very powerful, especially in conjunction with either Glinted Quicksilver, or for example, if the opponent overblocks, you can use this in this particular situation to go get Twinning Blade if you have an unconditional go again, such as Hit and Run and Spoils of War. You can really punish the opponent, very much so, or you can force free more damage, whether you want to go for an overpower route or even a route for that matter. This is definitely on the top priority list. Now we're going to move on to they can improve your deck, but I don't feel like they are necessary right off the bat. So these are about to get a bit pricey, but feel free to choose what you want. But I'll definitely be listing on they can improve, but you don't need to get them right off the bat, so that way you can get them eventually. But Arcanite Skullcap, now this can be particularly clutch, especially if you have lesser health. You can be able to block if you allow a little bit of damage through, then all of a sudden you can block for full 7 the first time. That's only if you have an insanely good hand. Don't be wearing down your armor unless you really want to put your foot down on someone's throat. I mean, we don't know the craziest stuff that you can do, whether it's involving hit and run plus twinning blade, or for that matter, courage of blade hold plus steel blade supremacy and iron song determination. That is a nut draw right there too as well, but this definitely helps. It's not so much used for the arcane barrier aspect, but there is certainly other stuff as well. But now Braveforge Bracers, that +1 can come in handy in certain circumstances. For example, it forces 2 cards or a single defense reaction out of the opponent's hand, or 2 cards if you have a Dawn Blade counter. Now, just being able to strip cards out of their hand, especially when the race is tight, you're down to single-digit life totals, making sure that your opponent doesn't have very much resources to launch another attack can be very key. But not only that, this has 2 armor and it has battle worn. This is also another key part for preserving your life total while making it so that your opponent has to really consider their options when it comes to trying to get through your defenses and try to put pressure, because the fridge is the fridge. It allows you to set up very well. But with the Quicksilver, now this is a very surprise factor card, because simply put, if you don't have access to Refraction Bar, if you've used it already and you don't play a hit and run or a Spoils of War or a Warrior's Valor, going to Quicksilver is surprise value, and in conjunction with Twinning Blade, and you don't show your opponent any ways of go again, it can be an extremely deadly situation, because you're playing a very dangerous bluffing game right here with the Quicksilver. And even without the card draw, this card is very powerful for bluffing the opponent out, no doubt about that. But it's on the lesser, but it can improve your list. But it's no different than the Arcanite Skullcap or the Braveforge Bracers. Now, on to the next card is, of course, Spoils of War. Now, this is unconditional Gogan, but it also buffs your attacks. And it's very good for stripping cards out of the opponent's hand, too, because not only that, this also creates copper. And this is definitely something you want to be looking out for. I know, I blew it with my prediction, and I was like, OSS, they really had us going with assuming there was going to be copper in Monarch. It's got to be in Kingdoms, because otherwise I don't know why they would put that in there. I'm here to tell you, I'm certainly looking forward to it, but this is also, no doubt about it, cash in. This also goes in Kasai very well, but this is definitely the last card that you're going to want to be putting into your list. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'll show you some cards that are not going to be exactly on the high tier or even the lower, but good enough. These are cards that you can acquire afterwards that I would highly recommend. Now, when I was playing the Lucky Game in TCG Skirmish, went free and free. Because evidently Kano is still popular, and that's a difficult matchup if the pilot is very skilled enough. But Plow Through, there was 4 Iras, and the top 4 for that matter showing up. Actually top 8, I believe. I believe there was 2 more Iras in the top 4, but Iras still a thing. And Plow Through definitely makes them think, because when they block with attack action, it gains +1. So with a Dawn Blade, all of a sudden it's not going to just 6 but 7, which is reaching that breaking point that forces them. I need to have a defense reaction, but they also have to consider how many resources you got floating plus attack reactions. And the vast majority of their equipment the Spring Tunic and the Mouse of Momentum, they both have Blade Break. So they always want to have Snapdragon Scalers, so all they got is the Ninja Bracers that give +1 to the next card with combo as a reaction. But Plow Through is very handy for that matter in this particular situation, and it's very useful against Ninja. But anyway, we're gonna move on to the next card now. Valiant Dynamo. I tried it against Ira once in the lucky game in TCG, and you really need to be stripping cards out of your hands. So when it comes to Durafia, I wouldn't recommend it. You need to be able to give yourself go again, and it's always going to be hard to say when you want Valiant Dynamo. I mean, I do have access to it, but it's on the least amount list. You're really going to have to get some play testing. I've tried, and you will really want Refraction Boulders against Ira for that matter. But now, Twinning Blade, like I said, not necessarily necessary, but it's very good when you combine it with stuff like extremely well with Glint the Quicksilver, but even Spoils of War, and even hit and runs. And I've been running two blue hit and runs, 2 yellow hit and runs, and then I have Glint the Quicksilver too, and Spoils of War. So I have access to 8, potentially 10 if I want to use my Singing Steel Blade to blow my opponent out for acquiring Go Again, or grabbing Twinning Blade for that matter, or even Route. The possibilities are very much endless when it comes to Twinning Blade, but this is something you want to pick up after the high tier list and the lower tier, or if it's dirt cheap for when it comes to after Crucible War Unlimited, go ahead and pick it up. But if it's higher up, prioritize those dollars. Every bit counts. But Unified Decree. Now, this is a bit of a speculative. It may cost 1 more just to get a free power buff. However, this is we definitely need to be keeping an eye out in the future for I mean, we do have Stroke of Foresight for stacking the deck, but and I don't think anyone's going to be playing Rise Above, because generally Durafia is a resource heavy deck, and you really want to be able to keep cards in your hand so you can pitch them, or it represents a very scary factor. But you could blow someone out. They'll be like, oh, this guy put a card on top, but what if he plays the Unified Decree? But there definitely needs to be more warrior cards that reward you for revealing the top card, like even a card draw, or even for that matter effects like this, or even an attack bonus buff. I would definitely like that too, but Unified Decree definitely has some potential in the future depending on what they put out. But anyway, let's look. Cash in. I'm still very much surprised about Monarch. I was banking on it. I was like, and truth be told, the meta has been shaked. Shayness definitely has entered the meta. It's definitely shaked up the meta to where people have to really consider their options. Now, this is one of the most speculated buyouts before Monarch showed up, and I'd have to say the price will definitely drop due to limited copies, but this is definitely, there's no doubt they might pull another rabbit trick and wait until after Kingdoms, but I highly doubt it. It's about 50-50 because they completely blow our minds when it comes to Monarch and what was in it. We were thinking something else, but then we're seeing an all-out war with Iravia and whatnot, and new classes like Shadow and whatnot. But I do believe in the Kingdoms. Now, as I recall, there was an article that was talking about the talent system, whether it was Shadow or Light, and then they were saying, and Brute represents, oh, you think we're going to tell you that? They were definitely teasing, no doubt about that, and we can definitely expect more talents for each specific reason, for that matter, coming. But not only that, the talisman of dozing, people have been putting articles about it that Arya is probably very much likely going to be part of Kingdoms, but I do believe cash-in is definitely going to fit in when it comes to civilized parts of Kingdom. I'm willing to bet they're going to do several things. I don't think... It's honestly hard to say if they'll print generic versions, but here's what my opinion here is. On the civilized part, stuff like that, I think, or even the mech town for that matter, is going to have stuff for cash in. But when it comes to the uncivilized, like for example the Savage Lands, or even, I don't know, even Arya, they might get a something that benefits them more so than card draw. So it's honestly hard to say, but this is just my opinion. But cash-in would definitely be good to get a hold of after you're all done with acquiring the top tier and the lesser but good tier list. But anyway, this is Moss Overhauled from the Grim Aftermath show, and I want to remind you, enjoy the grind.